Air France is the largest airline and the national carrier of France. In addition, Air France-KLM is the fourth largest airline group in Europe, carrying around 100 million passengers last year. Air France is also one of the oldest airlines in Europe and flies to over 200 intercontinental destinations, many of which aren't served by other European airlines, including almost 20 cities in the US, making it a very popular choice for transatlantic travel. At the time of making this video, Air France's mainline fleet consists of 226 aircraft. In addition, the regional subsidiary, Air France-HOP, has 36 aircraft in its fleet. Not to mention that the Air France-KLM group operates almost 600 planes. And while the airline uses both Airbus and Boeing aircraft, Airbus is clearly dominant here. All of the 57 aircraft that Air France has on order will be made by Airbus, and that also includes the rare A350F, which will be the first Airbus cargo-only widebody in the airline's fleet. But we will talk about this later. Now let's answer a question. Why Air France doesn't have any Boeing aircraft on order? And why has it rejected not only the 777X, but also the 737 MAX, and canceled further orders for the 787 Dreamliner? For years, Air France was a loyal Boeing customer, despite the fact that its biggest competitor, Airbus, has a main office and biggest production plant in Toulouse, France, and is partially a French company, supported in many ways by the French government. The airline operated multiple variants of the Boeing 747, and the last 747-400 was retired in 2016. In addition, the French airline is one of the 5 largest operators of the Boeing 777, with 63 units in its fleet. It was also the launch customer of both the 777-300ER and 777 freighter versions. Other types of Boeing aircraft, such as the 737-200, 737-500, and 767, have also passed through the airline. So what's happened that Air France no longer wants Boeing? You may think that it began in the late 1980s when the French flag carrier took delivery of the first A320, but in fact, few years after this event, brand new 737s arrived in Paris to replace the aging 727. Data shows that the 737-500, the smallest model in the 737 Classic range, was Air France's most numerous 737 variant. 28 examples of this aircraft were Air France's fleet, with the first 4 joining in 1991. Deliveries continued steadily throughout the 1990s, with the last pair arriving as late as 2001. Surprisingly, the retirement began only 2 years later, and now Air France has only Airbus-made aircraft in its narrow-body fleet. In the meantime, please also make a nice surprise to me and subscribe to this channel, as this means a lot. When it comes to the wide-body fleet, Air France also had numerous Boeing jets in the fleet, including the 747-200 and 707. Unsurprisingly, the airline was the launch customer of the first French wide-body jet, the Airbus A300, introduced in 1974. This jet perfectly replaced the 707. Air France was also first to welcome other Airbus widebodies, including the A340. However, in the early 1990s, Air France decided to replace the aging jumbo jets, especially the 200 variant, with the more fuel-efficient variant, and needed a big aircraft for this role. Fortunately, around the same time, Boeing decided to fill a gap between the 767 and 747 and to create a replacement for aging DC-10s. The newly launched Boeing 777 was groundbreaking in multiple aspects. Not only was it a twin-engine aircraft with an impressive range, but it was also the first to be fully designed using computer-aided design technology. Since its inaugural flight in 1994, the 777 has been met with enthusiastic reception from airlines, leading to hundreds of orders and establishing itself as a key player in the long-haul market, surpassing the competing Airbus A340, which was a failure due to its 4 engines consuming a lot more fuel. The 777 also seemed perfect for Air France, which quickly ordered 25 aircraft. The first one arrived in Paris in 1998. The twin-engine 777 plane was powered by the most modern engines available and was then the most efficient aircraft in the sky. The French carrier was so satisfied with the newest American jet that it quickly ordered the larger 300ER variant, which was also perfect to replace the 747s on high-density routes to French territories in the Caribbean and the Indian Ocean. Of course, Air France had a wide-body fleet diversified between two manufacturers and operated A330s, A340s, and most importantly, the A380s, the pride of European aviation. Nevertheless, the French airline still maintained good relations with Boeing. In 2011, Air France-KLM Group placed an order for 25 Boeing 787s, which were most probably intended to replace not only the aging 777s, but also the oldest A340s. At the same time, 25 A350s were also ordered. This was also the last time that Air France decided to order a Boeing-made aircraft, as the airline said no to the American company shortly afterward. In 2013, Boeing 787 was grounded for a few months due to battery issues. This was the first blow to Boeing's reputation. Around the same time, the airline started to evaluate options for 777 replacement, especially for the older 200 variant. Boeing quickly came up with a 787-10, which unfortunately has a rather small range of 11,700 kilometers, or slightly over 7,000 miles. However, the airline agreed and ordered some of them, but later switched the order to the Dutch partner KLM. In 2019, Air France also announced that the remaining Dreamliners would sport a blue KLM livery instead of the French national colors. Due to the intense pressure from the French government, which owns almost 30% of the company's shares, Air France decided to replace 777s with French-made A350s by ordering additional 10 aircraft. As a result, the only Boeing aircraft that will remain in Air France's fleet for at least some time is the largest 777. Here the situation is still unresolved, as the oldest aircraft will be definitely replaced by the A350s. However, Air France also needs a high-capacity aircraft similarly sized to the retired A380. And here the Boeing 777X is the only option, as the A350-1000 is a little bit too small here. Nevertheless, politics may also play a role here, especially taking into account the relations between France and the current US administration, and Air France might order A350-1000 as well. The company wants to decide on this matter around 2026, with deliveries starting after 2030. Another thing worth adding is that Air France even never took the 737 MAX into account when thinking about A320's replacement, despite the fact that airlines of this size should have a fleet diversified between manufacturers. The French national carrier is also currently in the process of receiving A220s, of which there will be 60 in total. As you have heard, Air France said a hard no to Boeing. In the future, the 10 Dreamliners and some 777s will be the only aircraft produced by the American manufacturer in the French airline fleet. And in this case, even being a long-standing Boeing customer didn't help. The airline decided to renew its wide-body fleet with A350s, canceling the order for further Dreamliners. I also wouldn't be surprised if Air France decided to completely hand them over to KLM in order to simplify the fleet structure. The only hope for Boeing is the potential 777X order that might, however, never happen due to politics playing a significant role here. What do you think about Air France's fleet plans? Write in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.